All right, let's get going. Thank you everyone for your patience. We just had some troubles getting logged in today, but we are ready to roll, and we'll try to move through this at someone's calling. Okay, yeah, I guess that's good. All right, so this is our online learning session for the 2024 U.S. Coffee and Good Spirits Qualifier. All right, so first, this is brought to you by the U.S. Coffee and Good Spirits Committee. And you can see some of your committee members here, Matt and myself, and then we've got Sharon, Scott, and we've got Ashley, Daniel, and Kaylee. And many of us you'll see also serving as judges at prelims, qualifier, and nationals. So here we just have I won't read this out today, but this is available on the website. This is just the code of conduct, which is very important that everyone should be able to abide by and also expect others to treat them in accordance with. And anyone in violation of this code can be removed from competitions. All right, and then this is an important email. This is kind of the house email for everything competitions related. Obviously, you can email Matt and myself for things just more directly related, but if it's something that maybe just you want extra accountability on, or we bring someone else in to have a word on some other questions, this will be the email that you can use and we may use as well. All right, so this is the 2024 season, and I believe these dates I think are pretty set here. So Matt, if you need to chime in with anything I might be mistaken on as things have been moving around, let me know or interject. But the qualifier, ours will be held separately from the others in the DC area in Bethesda. And it will ours will take place February 2nd through the 4th. That's Friday. Well, it'll really be Saturday and Sunday, but Friday will be the first day to kind of get going on our workshop and potentially load in and things like that. And then, of course, you see Chicago will be the place of the U.S. competition. And then there's the World in Copenhagen. A little bit about just who all is, I guess just who all's, how many competitors. So the qualifying competition is open to the 24 competitors who register. The top 4 who competed in each prelim are awarded a reserved spot at the qualifying competition. And then all remaining spots will be available for either lottery selection or open registration. And then for the qualifying competitions, a wait list will be kept based on the chronological order of registration of each registrant who is not initially assigned a competition registration confirmation. Let's see, kind of look over more relevant stuff. You can find all this, by the way, in the rules and regulations all laid out. So the positions to compete at the U.S. SIGs will be guaranteed until an invited competitor turns down their spot or fails to register for the U.S. SIGs within the designated registration window. Any unclaimed positions will be offered to the next highest scoring competitor from the qualifying competition in which the unclaimed positions came from. Positions will be offered in descending sequence until all positions are filled, and the wait list will be maintained until 3 weeks prior to US SIGs. All competitors, of course, must compete in in the qualifying competition to be eligible to compete in 2024 SIGs. However, the 2023 US SIGs champion will be eligible to compete without competing in the qualifier. They'll be able to compete in the US SIGs. And then all competitors and judges, of course, are required to attend one online learning session and the competitor meeting in order to participate at the US SIGs. All right, so this is just a little bit of our agenda today. We will go over a competition summary, a little bit about what likely the competition weekend schedule will look like. We're still trying to hash that out a little bit. Then just go over some vocab roles, judge guidelines, then taste and scoring, ingredients definitions, score sheets, then some stage information, and then just practically what it looks like for showtime. That includes cart stage, preparation time, and also presentation. And then we'll go over time and technical timeouts, recipe submissions, and then a big one we'll spend some time on will be rule changes from last year's qualifier to this year's. And then we will go over, just make sure everyone's clear on what will qualify as a DQ, a disqualification, just so you're clear on that when you compete. And then any other frequently asked questions, and then leave some time open for any other questions you may have. All right, so competition summary. The qualifying competition is comprised of 2 separate rounds, a spirit bar, and stage presentations. So the spirit bar, the competitor will produce 2 coffee and alcohol-based mixology drinks created using a randomly selected type of alcohol and/or ingredients provided by US SIG's sponsors. And then the stage presentation, that the competitor will present 2 coffee and alcohol-based hot warm designer drinks and 2 coffee and alcohol-based cold designer drinks. The spirit bar score and the stage presentation score will be combined to determine the ranking and overall winner. All right, and then Matt, you might be able to help me on this. This is this probably will still be pretty accurate for judges, but when we may have a little tweak the weekend schedule a little bit for judges. Day 1 we'll hold a workshop, 9 to 5, 9 to 4, something along those lines. Then we will sign panels after that. And then on day 2 and day 3, Saturday and Sunday for judges, there'll be a morning calibration each morning, and then there will be spirit bar judging and stage presentation judging. And then of course on Sunday after competition is finished, there will be announcements and then debrief. And then for competitors, this is what a typical competition schedule looks like, and then I'll let Matt kind of talk about what might happen. Typically on a first day, there's a load-in time that happens a little later in the day, and then a mandatory competitor meeting. I will talk about just this competitor orientation meeting because it is mandatory. So prior to the start of the event, typically the day before the qualifying competition, a competitor orientation meeting will take place either online or in person. This would likely be, anyway. Meeting details will be emailed to competitors ahead of the event. This meeting is mandatory for all competitors. During this meeting, the event manager will make announcements, explain the competition flow, cover the competition schedule, and share other pertinent information. This will be an opportunity for competitors to ask questions and/or voice concerns to the event manager. If a competitor does not attend the orientation meeting and has not made advanced plans with the qualifying competition event organizer to address their absence, they are subject to disqualification by the presiding head judges. And then on day 2 and day 3, of course, there will be practice time and performances each day, and then followed by announcements and debrief on Sunday. Matt, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah. So I'll give kind of a broad view here, and then when we get further into the presentation, if anyone has any exact questions, I can definitely do my best to answer them. So because we are in a more limited space for this competition being held at Counterculture, which was done in order to accommodate creativity and common sense, really, so that everyone can bring their own alcoholic ingredients this time. We don't have to deal with caterers and their limited lists. Depending on how many competitors sign up by the registration cutoff date, we might have to have whoever is competing on a certain day, they will be the only ones who can load in, essentially. And those people will, on that same day, have their practice time, compete in the spirit bar, do their stage presentation, then afterwards pack up and leave in order to make space for the people who are competing the next day, essentially. Where this is being held in a training center, And we do need separate spaces, obviously, for the judges to go back and deliberate. There needs to be there needs to be a space for the scorekeeping, just to make sure that they're in a quiet place, it's confidential, and everything else. And then a space for everyone to actually compete in, and then obviously unload it. And so we are trying to be as creative as possible with everyone at Counterculture to accommodate everyone, so that people can have space. But depending on how many people we have in total, we might have to split people up and the competition days up like that. So we will know more in the coming weeks.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. All right. So I guess I have. All right. See, trying to think I might have a couple. Are those coming up for you guys? Are you able to see anything?
No,
All right, let's try that.
I mean, these are just the terms that I think
Okay.
most people
All
should be
right.
familiar with.
All
But go
right.
ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. All right, so these are just well, oh, I see. Okay, so we have online learning, so online learning session, judges workshop, calibration, deliberation, debrief, and conflict, and then these are those definitions here. So online learning session, what we're doing here, many of y'all are familiar with it. This is just pre-competition training for both competitors, judges, and volunteers. And then, of course, there's a judges workshop for just judges alone who are in order to just get on the same page, get calibrated, and go through practicing and rounds of practice with a calibration barista to be prepared to judge on the following days. There's a calibration each morning that judges participate in just to make sure they are well calibrated and prepared for judging and on the same page. And then we got deliberation. That's post-performance. That's when a judging panel goes back and then goes over notes and discusses anything that needs to be discussed before finalizing score sheets. And then debrief, that's Sunday after announcements. Of course, that's a chance for competitors to go over their score sheets with judges who judge their performances. So that's an important time for just getting more clarification, obviously for growth for future competitions and just to understand a little bit more if they're unclear with anything in their scores. And then of course conflict. People you cannot judge. There's a section in 1.4 of the rules that discusses a little bit more about that. But a few examples of what that might look like. An employee or employer or someone who has been employed by the same company or affiliated companies, a relative, close friend, a customer or romantic relationship, a trainer or trainee of the competitor for competition, and then also anyone who has competed in the same comp season. So anyway, if you have any concerns, like as a judge or a competitor of if you're unsure on someone who might be a conflict, it's always best practice to check, and we can like work through that. If you have any doubts at all, just ask, and we can figure out if that is a true conflict or not. Obviously, our industry, a lot of people, so just simply knowing someone is not a conflict. But if you're a little concerned, for sure, definitely email us or reach out. All right, so for our next slides, we're talking about just some of the volunteer roles. You got stage manager, a head runner, a timekeeper, and a busser. So stage manager is kind of your point person. What is your point person? Running the stage, making sure volunteers are where they need to be. If there's any questions or any issues with equipment, water supply, any kind of things like that, they are just a vital part of the competition and will be that point person for any concerns, questions, anything that need, as far as the organization of during the competition time. You have a head runner who helps with the cart to stage. And then a timekeeper will be giving time cues. We'll talk about that a little later. And then a busser that clears dishes between drinks. So. All right, so a little bit about just kind of talking about beverage definitions. Of course, for the for the stage presentation, there is a cold coffee designer drink and a hot warm designer drink. So we'll just kind of go over this. You can find this in chapter 2, or sorry, in section 2 from the rules sheet under 2.4 beverage definitions. So I'll just kind of read it over just to make sure we're all clear. So competitors are responsible for providing their own ingredients, including coffee and alcohol, except for the sponsored alcohol or spirit or ingredients. Competitors are allowed to add ingredients or alcohol to the provided alcohol and ingredients, with the exception of controlled or illegal substances. If these substances are found in the beverage, a score of 0 will be given in all taste elements of the drink. Competitors are free to use any vessels for serving the drinks. Edible garnishes may be used, but the drink must be drinkable. The balance and overall impression scores will be deducted if the drink is deemed more edible than drinkable at the head judge's discretion. And then competitors may need to detail the ingredients of their beverages before and or after their performance to the USCC staff. USCC reserves the right to publish the competitor's drink recipes after the conclusion of the competition, with credit given to the competitor whenever possible. And then for coffee and alcohol-based designer drinks, in the stage presentation, one set of beverages must be served cold. The other set of beverages must be served hot or warm. If a competitor serves 2 sets of cold beverages or 2 sets of hot beverages, the competitor will receive a 0 in all taste categories of the higher scoring set of beverages. So, all right, score sheets. And we're going to go over scoring, the point system, and then just work through actual score sheets so we know what those categories are requiring. So your evaluation scale, you can kind of see this graphic here. There are 2 types of scoring: yes, no scoring, and then numeric scores ranging from 0 to 6. So the evaluation scales are the same for both taste and technical visual judges. Yes equals 1, no equals 0, and unacceptable also equals 0. And then, of course, all these scores have words connected to them, which is very important, but acceptable would be a 1, average would be a 2, good would be deemed a 3, very good 4, excellent 5, and extraordinary 6. Now with the yes no score, the competitor receives 1 point for a score of yes on this item and 0 points for a score of no. For numeric scores, available scores range from 0 to 6. Half points are permissible in the range from 1 to 6. There cannot be a 0.5, but there can be a 1.5. Judges are encouraged to use the full range of scores. Low numbers indicate a poorer representation, and higher indicates a better presentation. Sorry, poorer presentation, and a higher indicates a better presentation. Certain scores are weighted and multiplied by 2 or 4. All right, so visual judges. Oops. Oh yeah, okay, so that's the full sheet there, but we're gonna break it down in sections. All right, so this is the visual score sheet for the stage presentation. So one we have here is visual creativity. The judges will review both drinks presented. The judge should look for originality and the aesthetic look of the drinks. The judge will take into consideration consistency between both drinks presented when evaluating visual creativity of these beverages. And then the second is overall visual appeal. And it's simply how enticing and appealing the drink is from a visual perspective. And then 3, overall presentation. Visually, how appealing is the competitor's presentation of their beverage? This includes how the competitor demonstrates bartending skill by inviting the customer into the creation of the drink. Evaluation will include the confidence, flair, and style the competitor displays in the production of their drinks. And then the next section is all part of professional performance. So first is the workspace organized and clean at start. So the cleanliness and organization of the competitor's workstation, i.e., so they got the work table, prep table, top of the machine, will be evaluated on a scale between 0 and 6. Points will be deducted for disorganized workspaces, like grounds on the counter or machine, spills, broken glassware, smudges, etc. It is permissible to have a small amount of coffee grounds around the grinder. verify it will be the judge will be verifying the competitor's ability to organize the working area in a practical and efficient way. So everything making sense and having an order and a purpose is important. Competitors may have pucks, used coffee grounds, in the portafilters at the start of the competition time. This will not count against the clean area at startup. So I know that gets asked a lot. Sometimes that's a little different than people are used to in prior competitions or other competitions, but that will not be a deduction there. So number 2, coffee brewed professionally. Competitors can use any brewing method. The competitor's coffee brewing techniques. So this includes a knowledge of the coffee selected, consistent grinding and dosing, coffee waste management, extraction time, brewing time, expertise with brewing equipment will all be taken into account. Spirits prepared professionally. So competitors can use any cocktail creation method. The competitor's bartending techniques, so pouring, shaking, blending, etc., will be taken into account. Higher scores will be awarded to competitors who measure, pour, and mix their cocktail ingredients on stage. Higher scores are awarded for creativity, smoothness, control of tools and ingredients, accuracy, generally just methodology or form. So measuring the spirits and ingredients, pouring into the beverage vessel. Spills, drops, fumbles, or breakage during the presentation will also have an overall effect on the scoring category. Ice may not be put into glasses or beverage vessels prior to the start of the performance time. And then professional use of ingredients. Competitors should demonstrate their professional use of ingredients through selection, quality, preparation, and suitability to the overall flavor, balance, and style of the drink. Competitors will receive higher scores if their ingredients, garnishes, or creams are prepared during the performance time. Professional performance. The competitor's performance will be scored based on the service skills, flair, and style they display in the production of the drinks. Professionalism is evaluated by observed qualities relevant to the barista and bartending professions. Good customer service skills, the ability to manage workflow and time. The competitor must demonstrate that they are a hospitality professional who has command over their performance. And then general hygiene throughout the presentation. The judge will determine the score based on the competitor's sanitary practices throughout their entire presentation. Examples of unacceptable practices include, but are not limited to, touching hands to face, mouth, etc., and then using the hands for beverage preparation, touching the floor, and then using the hands for beverage prep, touching the ice with bare hands, etc. So again, that is a category that people have been able to score higher in, but there are a few big things that could hurt you there. So all right, taste judges. So we'll go through the tasting score sheets. All right, so taste evaluation. So pleasant drinking temperature, warm, hot, warm, or cold. And of course, this is for the stage presentation. So the temperature of the drink should be scored when it is presented to the judges. Competitors should describe the temperature of the drink and its influence on taste before judges are served the drinks. No description being given will result in this category receiving a 0 score. Quality of coffee distinctly tasted in the drink. Judges will evaluate if the coffee can be tasted and will discern the quality of that coffee. Lower scores will be given for poor quality coffee flavor and or a lack of coffee flavor. Coffee does not have to be the dominant flavor with the drink, but does have to be clearly identifiable. By the way, these are all found in section 15 of the rules if you haven't already found your way there. Balance and combination of flavors. Judges will evaluate how well the flavors work together and are balanced within the drink. Judges will evaluate the drink based on how well the taste components of the coffee, provided alcohol and or ingredients fit together and complement each other. The combination of components must complement the selected alcohol and or ingredients while creating an interesting taste experience. Both the coffee and the selected alcohol should be easy to identify within the drink. Judges must follow drinking instructions if the competitor provides them. Body and mouthfeel of the drink. So judges should decide if the body, mouthfeel and or mouthfeel of the drink is pleasant, and expected for that style of drink. Competitors are encouraged to explain the body mouthfeel of the beverage. Competitors may override the expected body mouthfeel style of that drink in their explanation. Higher points are awarded for accuracy of body mouthfeel description. The quality of the body is based upon the tactile feeling of the liquid in the mouth, especially as perceived between the tongue and the roof of the mouth. Drinks with light or heavy body may receive high scores relative to the quality of the tactile feeling in their mouth. So there's that, distinction between body and the quality of that body. So creativity. Judges will look for originality in the combination of ingredients, methods, and presentation. Judges will evaluate competitors' creativity based on the originality of the concept and any new methods, techniques, or ingredients used in the preparation or presentation of the drink. Commercially applicable. So judges should assess if the method of preparing the drink, the ingredients used, and the drink's final presentation are applicable to commercial markets. Higher points will be awarded where judges believe the drink would have the widest consumer appeal and practical application. Competitors are free to explain to the judges the market their drink is aimed at and any information on its commercial applicability. And then lastly, overall impression. So judges will review the beverage presented to them. Judges should review the look and the taste of the drink in its totality based on its personal impact on them. So this one is a little more personal, is a more personal score. When judges are scoring this section, they'll also consider how a customer may score the presented beverage. Judges will also look for pleasant mouthfeel and enjoyable sensory experience in this category. And then the taste judges will also be considering professional impression, which is weighted pretty heavily, times 4? So professionalism. This is evaluated by the observed qualities relevant to the barista and bartending professions, good hospitality skills, and the ability to manage workflow and time. Judges will look for a strong correlation between what is explained and what is delivered. The judge will determine the score based on the competitor's sanitary practices throughout their entire presentation. Examples of unacceptable practices include, but are not limited to, touching hands to face, mouth, etc., and then using the hands for beverage prep, touching the floor, and then using the hands for beverage prep, touching ice with bare hands, etc. And then the next is the spirit bar score sheet. So the definitions, the rules for these categories are going to be the same, so I won't go over them again. It's just going to have less. So here on the spirit bar score sheet, you have less categories. You have just balance and combination of flavors, creativity, overall impression, and then you do still have a professional impression as well. It's weighted the same. So all right, and that brings us to stage presentation.
We've got a question in the chat, I believe.
Yeah,
from Mina. Missing the scoring rubric between commercially applicable and professional performance in the rules. Is that actual?
Like you're missing you're not seeing a section of that. Let me see here. I got it. Sorry, that was trying to bring up my rules here. All right.
Commercially applicable 15.1.4 and professional performance 15.1.5 is what it looks like. But falling under the taste. Yeah. Are you just looking for a clarification between them?
Score box between those two that you had briefly talked about. I just want, like, I don't see it in the rules, and I was hoping I could take notes on what that was.
Oh, like what the actual like if there's a multiplier on it.
Yeah. So going back to the slide with the score sheet on it, right before we get to professional performance, there was like one last box that I missed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lee, can you go back on the presentation slide?
Oh yeah, so sorry. Okay. Um,
It's not in the rules. It's like it's on the score sheets themselves.
oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Is this where I need to be?
Go back to the
I think we're
presentation. Go back to the slideshow.
Okay. I'm not on the slideshow right now.
You're not on the slideshow right now.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
You're still on the rules.
I'm not great at this. Um,
So just click the tab, I think.
all right. Okay, my
There we
bad.
go.
Is that good? You seeing that tab now?
So between commercially applicable and professional performance. So you'll probably want to go back to a tab where it's a bit more zoomed in. There we go.
Okay. Is that good? Is that what we need?
Commercially applicable.
Oh, and then you're trying to see, sorry, this section here, professional performance.
Was it the overall impression score you were looking for, Raina?
Yeah, I was looking for the overall impression score. Is there like a section in the rules about that specific thing?
Yeah, it's in 14.1.3.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. That's all I needed.
Yeah, sorry, it's a little, I see with the rules, they 14 and 15 are a little tricky because then they just say for these rules, see section 15 again, because, or see 14, I believe, or something like that, because they're not double giving it for both
Yeah,
stage and spirit bar.
that makes a lot of sense.
So sorry, thank you.
It's the same criteria though.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Of
Yeah,
course.
absolutely. Thank you so much for the question. Yes. All right. All right.
All right. So stage presentations. You could probably go to the next slide, Lee.
Okay.
Yeah. So the filter grinder, last I heard was going to be compact. Was going to be the coffee filter grinder sponsor. You can go to the next slide, Lee. So because we're in a training center, essentially, the setup is not going to be exactly like this layout. The bar is kind of built in, actually. Once Counterculture has had the time to maybe take some pictures for us, and we get a solid idea of where we're going to be able to accommodate stage presentations and the spirit bar, both for space and outlet wise. We will send that information along, just like like right now there isn't an alcohol sponsor yet, but we might still find one, and we would send that out no later than 4 weeks. So hopefully that information should come over here in the next few weeks, like right before or maybe right after the holidays. The competitor schedule, we are going to try to stick to the rubric, the layout that any of us who have done competition before are familiar with, where we have a cart to stage time, we have a setup time, we have a performance time, we have a cleanup time. Again, it'll just depend on how many competitors we can fit into one day, but you can rely on a very similar time frame, essentially. The practice time will be determined again by how many competitors we have and how many can unload in one day. I believe the bare minimum is still 20 minutes though, so you can rely on that at least. And if it's more sparsely populated, even up to an hour, I believe, is what's in the rule. So between 20 and 60 minutes, but you can rely on having 20 minutes to work on the equipment that is at the center and to kind of orient yourself to the space. And I'll just clarify a bit more. The training center, the counters are built into the floor, and even the one table that that some people can sit at, it is hardwired. Like there are outlets built into the table, and so it is bolted to the floor. So we don't have a ton of ability to just manipulate the countertops is all. So that's why we're kind of waiting for some pictures and for maybe another meeting or two for us to determine the best layout for these competitions. But you will be given time to orient yourself before you are thrown on stage. Go time. So we will be trying to get everyone their schedules as soon as possible, so that you know what time you have to be there, especially if you're someone that is trying to do both of your competition, stage and spirit bar, in one day. And if you're just not competing on that day, that means you might have to leave your wares and ingredients at your hotel room, your Airbnb, for the time being, or later that evening, if you want, after people are done competing, you could bring your wares later in that evening or in the early morning after they've packed up and the space is cleared. But again, we will stick to the cart to stage time, your left prep time, and then your on stage time. So same thing. Chances are we probably won't have carts, but that's because a lot of your wares are going to be within a few steps of where you are going to be going on stage. Carts would only get in the way at this point. We will be trying to have like bus tubs though, so you can at least put things in a container, and so you can keep things at least in a contained space. Microphones and sound will also be in question, and something else we will hammer out. The prep time, spirit bar, you'll have 5 minutes to set out your ingredients, 10 minutes for your stage time to unload everything from your bus tub. If you forget something somewhere else in the room, or maybe it's like outside and in someone's bag, you can run and grab that during your setup or your prep time. You just can't have anyone else go and do it for you. That's the only part that's not allowed. All right, and then when it's time to actually go, we will be tracking down NMCs so that someone can announce you, introduce you, and the judges. Again, depending on exactly how much overlap there might be, I'm definitely hoping that we can still do music, because I think that makes for a nice show. But we also don't want to have someone's music blasting if someone's trying to do a spirit bar presentation and the judges are trying to listen to everything that they're telling them, because again, we're in a small space. So we're just going to have to do some acoustics testing and seeing if we could get like a Bluetooth speaker in there, or some way so that you guys can have music.
Raina asked a moment again, does that mean we'll be allowed extra hands from our coaches to carry wares from prep stage to our stage?
No. No other hands can touch your wares from what would be your cart. In this case, is your bus tub, and put things on your competition stage. Again, with the space being what it is, it literally might be that you turn around and your bus tubs are right there on the counter behind you from your competition stage. Your cart to stage might be you bringing your bus tubs in an untimed time span, and you just set your bus tubs on the actual table space, and then your prep time starts. So you don't have to move maybe like 3 or 4 bus tubs or however many you might have, but you won't need extra hands. Essentially, like you'll be given time within reason to make sure that you can prep and still follow all the rules. So hopefully that makes sense. Absolutely. Cool. But then, yeah, once your competition time starts, you'll be given the go ahead to call time. Your competition time will begin. You will serve your cocktails, and then to mark your time, you will remember to call time. Afterwards, hopefully you'll just walk around, talk to the MC for a short interview, talking about your creative process, your hopes and aspirations, and anyone you want to thank. So, this isn't going to happen. So, but yes. So on the spirit bar, for every second you go over, you will lose a quarter of a point. Maximum of 15 points, because if you go over by a minute, you will be DQ'd. And in the stage presentation, for every second you go over, you'll be penalized 1 point. And if you go over by a minute, you will be DQ'd. The timekeeper will vocalize by default 3 minutes, 1 minute, and 30-second warnings. You can ask for others if you want, but it is not their responsibility to make sure that you heard it. That they are instructed to project during your performance, but you not hearing your warning or call won't be grounds for a technical timeout or anything. So just be aware, and that you can definitely bring your own timer, but the official time is still what the timekeeper has in their hands. So just be aware of that as well. So technical issues, technical timeouts when a piece of equipment that you did not bring, like the espresso machine, the sponsored grinder, if any part of the equipment on the competition part fails, you can raise your hand to call a technical timeout. The timekeeper will stop their one timer for the ongoing time, and they'll start another one to time how long the evaluation period is, essentially. And the head judge will walk over, they will examine what the technical timeout was called for and determine whether or not it is valid. If it is not, time will resume, essentially. And then the time that had elapsed on the second timer will be added to the first timer. Or if it is valid, then the time can either be stopped, and you can, once the issue is fixed, you can either pick up from where you left off if you're comfortable, or you can do an entire reset from the start if it's warranted. It is up to the discretion of the head judge at the time. Each situation is unique. But if you think a piece of equipment that you did not bring is malfunctioning, you can definitely raise your hand and ask. Recipe submissions. Okay, so guess what? We don't have to do this. I know, I'm so excited.
Okay, I wasn't sure if we needed even a little one, so I left something in there, but that's good.
It's totally cool. To my knowledge, at least. So one of the main reasons why we are breaking off from the other competitions and we're holding it at this slightly smaller venue is because now everyone can bring their own alcoholic ingredients. In the few competitions past, competitors were regulated to having to work with the alcohol that the catering company at the venue had access to. You cannot bring your own infused, beautiful, like reposado tequila. You couldn't bring your own clarified milk punch that you slaved over to use as a base of your cocktail. You couldn't bring anything that had any kind of alcohol in it. And obviously that's very limiting when you're trying to be as creative and to pair something with your coffee. And so in order to avoid that, we've chosen this year to see how this goes, to break off, to be separate from the other competitions, to hold it in a separate venue for this. So in previous competitions, we had to have recipe submissions, so that way we could communicate to the catering companies what each of the competitors needed. We don't have to do that this time. So I'm very excited to taste everyone's like full range of creativity. I'm super excited about that.
Thank goodness. Can you remind me, Matt, what about like just for any dairy or any allergy concerns or anything? Is that anything that needs to be submitted?
Oh yes, sorry, thank you. Yeah, so while we don't need to know like the exact ratios, brands and everything, but letting us know if there are any ingredients in your recipes, if you're using any kind of like nuts into your cocktails, dairy, and anything along those lines that someone might have an allergic reaction to, those we will have to have.
So
But
maybe an allergen list, an
basically,
allergen
yeah,
set of ingredients. Yeah,
yeah.
great.
So
Such
that,
good news.
yeah, I know, right?
All right. And then this may be hopefully still relevant, but
Yeah, hopefully still relevant. We're gonna do some acoustic testing, I think. That'll be information that we send along as well, along with the pictures, and if we're able to get an alcohol sponsor. So like 4 weeks out, essentially. Rule changes.
all right. This will be be really helpful for those of you who have been more experienced in the past few years. Some changes.
Yeah, so obviously, as some of you who have been familiar with this competition over the past few years, before the U.S. has not done a spirit bar competition in conjunction with a stage presentation. Unfortunately, that has been something that has kind of caught our champions off guard when they get to World, because they did not compete at prelims. Prelims is a spirit bar round where the alcohol is chosen at random, essentially right before your 6 minutes or 5 minutes of setup time. Did someone have a question? Nope. All right. So yeah, this year is the first year that at the qualifying event and at the national event that we are going to have both the spirit bar and the stage presentation at one competition, and it's to better prepare the U.S. champion. If I had a nickel, Kaylee.
Oh.
Next rule.
All right.
So before practice time was stated to be 20 minutes in length, like max. But now, because of the number of competitors and the space, that information will be emailed as well.
So it could be more.
It could be more. So before, you were required to be in the practice rooms 60 minutes before your prep time. Now it's 45 minutes. This was actually just a effort to essentially unify the U.S. rules with the world rules. So like very small difference, obviously. You've got 15 more minutes to eat your sloppy Joe or whatever, your slice of pizza outside before you have to be inside. It's going to be cold anyway. You're going to want to be inside. But yeah, that is one of the main drives of this year, was us trying to unify and get our rules, the U.S. rules, as close to the world rules as close as practically possible. This was just one of them. And this was actually one of the larger differences between the U.S. and the world before things like tablecloths, serving water, having napkins, any other things that make your stage pretty. They were permitted, but they didn't increase your score in any way. Whereas in the worlds, depending on how bougie you want to get with your table accoutrement, at the head judge's discretion, it could actually cost you points this year. It is a fine line, but it does the do the wares on your table, do they tie into the cocktail itself? Does it actually do anything for how you experience the cocktail, or is it just looking nice? Again, one of the rules that the world had in their rules, and so we are incorporating it now. Before, 1 point was deducted from the competitor's total score for each second that went over the allotted 10 minutes performance time, and now no penalties for going over a prep time. So this is very much like in the spirit of, if you have a student, you have 10 minutes or 6 minutes in your spirit bar prep time, 6 minutes, stage presentation 10 minutes. Stick to the 10 minutes. Like the rules in the world, they don't penalize it, but that it will be known that you went over your setup time. So keep that in mind. Ensuring the timekeeper is aware of a technical timeout being called was the responsibility of the competitor first. So the competitor really had to make sure that they waved down the timekeeper, but now that responsibility falls onto the head judge. Again, aligning with the world rules and just putting the onus more on the head judge than the competitor, and defaulting to the head judge's essentially authority over the stage. If the head judge isn't aware of the technical timeout being called, it's going to take a minute for them to come around to you. So if they're the first ones to know, they can signal the timekeeper, and everything is just going to flow better, essentially, so that the head judge doesn't have to play keep up.
All right, and that's all rule changes. And then these don't have individual slides, Matt, but
oh, okay, yeah. So what can get you DQ'd? Gosh, at first I didn't think it was all that much, but so obviously going over time by more than 59 seconds in each of the competition rounds, that will get you DQ'd. By using any kind of illegal or illicit substances in your cocktail, that will also get you DQ'd. Using any kind of profanity on stage is going to result in that as well. I believe we had a there was one special issue this past year. I think Lee was there.
Which, like, you talking about the audience coaching, or?
I think so. I think so.
Yes.
Yeah. It wasn't on the competitor necessarily, but I think someone in the audience had yelled out for them to call time. I think that's what it was. Yeah, but we do have a whole section in our rules that explicitly states things that will get you disqualified. So I would recommend going over
Section 17. There's 9 points, so memorize those 9 points.
Yeah, I can. Placing liquids or ingredients on top of the espresso machine, making changes to the espresso machine, or damaging any of the competition equipment. Using a grinder that is not the sponsored grinder. Failure of the competitor to attend the competitor's orientation meeting. Failure of the competitor to be on site at the start of the preparation time. Utilization of any furniture or equipment that is not provided by the qualifying competition. Exceeding 11 minutes of competition time for the stage presentation. Receiving instruction, coaching, or interference during the competition time. That was that one instance. And then the delivery of any forgotten accessory to the stage during competition time. So
this includes from a stage manager or someone like that.
Yes.
All right, and then we're getting close. Now we've got our commonly asked questions section.
Yep. all pretty easy things here. Can I bring your own grinder? No, the sponsoring grinders have to be the ones that are used. Can I bring my own ice? Yes. We are working to make sure that we are renting a freezer and bringing it into the space so that people can have ice molds. Once we have like final confirmation on that, we will send that along. But it will be both that and the refrigeration will be shared space. So just be aware to not bring your entire back bar with you. Can I move a grinder? No, but you can ask a stage manager to move it for you. Can I play my own music? Hopefully, yes. Again, we will communicate that. Can I just, I love this question. Can I distill my own alcohol? No. All alcohol has to come from a licensed distillery. We're not looking for anyone to go blind drinking someone's bathtub moonshine. So please do not make your own alcohol for this competition. Thank you very much. Can I pre-warm or chill my vessels during the set of time? Yes, you can, as long as there is nothing inside of those vessels at the start of your performance time. How much of the sponsoring spirit do I have to use? So at least 10 milliliters or a third of an ounce must be used in each of the served cocktails. So if you're shaking both cocktails in one shaker, make sure you're using at least 20 mils or 2/3 of an ounce. Does coffee and espresso have to be in both drinks? Yes. Espresso in at least one of these sets of drinks for the stage presentation. There's no espresso in the spirit bar. Can I use cold brew coffee made ahead of time? Yes, but you must also use coffee and or espresso prepared on stage during your performance time. So you can use it to bolster flavors, but make sure you brew coffee on stage. This is a list of equipment that you should bring. And my basic default rule is if you need it, you should just bring it yourself, because don't count on anything that isn't like listed in the rules. Yes, we will have an espresso machine, we'll have a tamp, we'll have a knock box, but anything that you want to make sure you have for yourself, make sure you bring it. So here's a list. I think I said tamp at that last one. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say,
bring a tamp.
Yeah, sorry. Just bring a tamper.
Bring a tamper. All right, and that brings us to just about an hour now. Great, but does anyone have any questions for us right now?
I have a couple.
Yeah.
If that's okay. Okay, so going back to the cleanliness scores, let's say, for example, a competitor spills like syrup on their hand while making a beverage. If they were to take like syrup or alcohol or something, anything on their hand, if they were to use a wet rag that they didn't use for anything else and then proceed to only use it for that, would they lose points?
No.
Cool. My next question is, are the spirit bar alcohols going to be announced at the same time that we have the like other sponsors locked in at the 4-week mark?
Yes.
Great. And then when talking about the quality of coffee, I wanted like a little further clarification on this. Is this specifically about like tasting for the quality of the extraction of the coffee?
Say that again, sorry?
Is this specifically talking about the quality of the extraction?
It's both the quality of the extraction and also the quality of the coffee itself.
Okay, so like if, for example, somebody used like a beautiful, I don't know, snowy Panama geisha or whatever, but it was like really bad, they would lose points in that area. Like poorly extracted.
Could potentially keep them from going. Yeah, Matt, go ahead. Sorry.
No, yeah. Poorly extracted can mean a lot of things, and it can taste very different in the final product once it's actually mixed with alcohol. The quality of coffee being clearly tasted does mean then, like, during your performance, you're communicating to us what the coffee tastes like, what it brings to the cocktail. Do we experience that? Do we experience any negative flavors resulting from how it was brewed or prepared? It's a holistic consideration, because under extracted, poorly extracted can happen in several ways, and they all result in different tasting coffees. And so depending on what that plays into, and what your description of the cocktail is, we have to balance those in that score category. Does that make sense?
Completely. Thank you so much. That's all
Absolutely.
I have.
Okay. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. Awesome. Okay, well, all right, well, hopefully
There
you
was
all,
a question in the chat. Sorry.
I
I think that someone's asked what size tamp they need. I don't know if we know the machine yet.
I
but-
responded 58, but maybe I didn't go through.
I saw it.
Or maybe I missed it. Sorry.
Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see the reply. Sorry, that was on me. Sorry.
no, it's okay. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I could easily have missed it. So
All right. All right. Well, so hopefully you all gain some clarity on this. I'm sorry we weren't able to be a little bit more forthcoming in order to make the competition come together, so that you could all bring your own ingredients without worrying about legal issues. This got pushed back a little bit, so we don't have quite as much information as we normally would at this point. But as soon as we have these details clarified, we will email all of you sponsoring alcohol, spirit bar, music, practice times, everything like that. And hopefully you caught our emails. This recording will be up online as soon as it's loaded up to the cloud. Raina asks, when can we expect open registration to happen? It's open right now, isn't it? Thought it was already open.
I thought that just happened, but maybe was it?
Let me read a note about that.
No, Houston was.
I could have sworn I could have sworn it was open. Okay. All right, well, I will follow up on that. Rena. But if anyone has any other questions, you'll you see our email addresses and the U.S. competitions email up on the screen. You'll have access to this recording very soon. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this year of competition. Now that we kind of have our chains taken off of us, and I can't wait to see everyone. Thanks.
Okay, so yeah, Ashley did find that it says check back here for open registration for the DC competition.
That told me it was open. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so we'll follow up with that, but
soon.
probably yeah, it'll definitely be by end of the week, I would think. But thank you. Yeah, thanks everyone. Look forward to seeing everyone compete.
Yep.
And then gotta just save it.
Are you saving it, Lee?
Think so.